Namaste and good morning, student.
Good morning, teacher. I would like to welcome you all in the first session. Since this is the first session of our class, I would like to teach you about the important topic learning how to learn. I have made presentation for you all. Please be interactive, and if you have any question, you can ask me.
Yes, ma'am.
Good.
The content that we will be covering today in this session are: Number 1 is memorization. Number 2 is useful insights about learning and sleep. Number 3 is different modes of thinking. And the last one is tackling procrastination.
Okay, Dragon, could you please read the memorization slide?
Memorization. Working memory. It is centered out of the prefrontal cortex and connects to other parts of our brain so we can access long-term memories. It is like an inefficient mental blackboard. Requires space repetition. Long-term memory. It is like a storage warehouse. To glue things in long-term memory. Number 1. Conceptual chunks. Number 2. Recall. Number 3. Practice. Recall. Number 4. Test yourself.
Thank you, Dragon.
Okay. Working memory is the part of memory that has to do with what we are immediately and concisely processing in our mind. Although it connects to other parts of our brain, our working memory is not a very good blackboard. We often need to keep repeating what we are trying to work with so it stays in our working memory. It needs space repetition for a period of time. However, we must be careful of overlearning as it creates illusions of competence. Long-term memory. It is like a storage warehouse. We need to revisit it at least a few times to increase the chances that we will be able to find it later when we need it. And to glue things in long-term memory, we need conceptual chunks. Chunking. What is chunking? Chunking is the mental leaf that helps us to unite bits of information together through meaning.
Ma'am, is there any process or method of chunking?
Yes, good question. The first step on chunking is simply to focus on undivided attention on the information we want to chunk, and the second step is to understand the basic idea that we are trying to chunk. The third step to chunking is gaining context, so we can see not just how but also when to use this chunk.
What is context?
Good. So, context means learning when to use that technique instead of some other technique. For instance, doing a rapid 2-minute picture walk through a chapter in a book before we begin studying it, glancing at pictures and sections heading can allow us to gain a sense of the big picture. And number 2 is recall. Rather than repeating the material, we should recall it, practice, and testing yourself is the best way to keep it in the long-term memory. There are different techniques to memorize, like memory palace technique, mnemonics, acronym. For instance, in optional math, we memorize as some people have curly brown hair. Okay, next, Kangaru, can you read the next slide?
Modes of thinking. There are two types of thinking mode: focused and diffuse mode of thinking. The focused mode involves a direct approach to solving problems using rational, sequential, analytical approaches. In the diffuse mode, the brain makes random connections in a relaxed fashion.
Thank you, Kangaru. So, there are two different types of thinking mode: focus and diffuse mode of thinking. Focus mode. Focus mode is associated with concentrating abilities of the brain's prefrontal cortex, located right behind our forehead. It is affiliated with previous knowledge. Whereas in the diffuse mode, we can look at things broadly from a very different big picture perspective. Our brain cannot function in both modes simultaneously. Therefore, we should allow to disconnect from what we have been concentrating on previously to allow diffuse mode to kick in. So, can anyone tell me how will you allow yourself to dive into diffuse mode since we have come this far in learning how to learn?
I will prefer to watch TV.
Exercising.
Walking.
While studying, sometimes you may feel that there is no way to learn all materials. And this is where the law of serendipity comes into play. Lady Luck favors the one who tries. Elephant, could you please read the slide of useful insight about learning and sleep?
Okay, ma'am. Useful insight about learning and sleep. Sleeping
Right.
is the way of keeping the brain clean and healthy. It is also a part of planting the seed for diffuse mood by first doing focus mood. Sleep has also been shown to make a remarkable difference in our ability to figure out difficult problems and to understand what we are trying to learn.
Thank you, Elephant. Useful insight about learning and sleep. Being awake creates toxic product in our brain. When we sleep, our brain cells shrink. This causes an increase in the space between brain cells. Fluid can flow past these cells and wash the toxin out. It seems that during sleep, our brain ties up ideas and concepts we are thinking about and learning. It erases the less important parts of memories and simultaneously strengthens areas that we need or want to remember. During sleep, our brain also rehearses some of the tougher parts of whatever we are trying to learn, going over and over neural patterns to deepen and strengthen them. Sleeping helps to make a remarkable difference in our ability to figure out difficult problems by planting the seed for diffuse mode, and dreaming about what we are studying can substantially enhance our ability to understand. So, Koala, could you read the last slide?
Tackling procrastination. To prevent procrastination, you want to avoid concentrating on product. Instead, your attention should be on building processes. Know the cue. Make a routine. Give yourself reward and believe in yourself.
Thank you. So the last content is tackling procrastination. Process means the flow of time and habit and action associated with that flow of time. Processes relate to simply habits that coincidentally allow us to do the unpleasant tasks that need to be done. One of the easiest way to focus on process is to focus on doing a Pomodoro technique, a 25 minutes timed work session, not on completing a task. And the second one is knowing the cue, making a routine for yourself. So make your routine before going to sleep, and don't forget to eat the frog first, and giving yourself a reward and believe in yourself. You tell me, when you complete your Pomodoro technique after using it in order to tackle the procrastination, how will you reward yourself?
Great.
Sleeping.
Painting.
Great. So we are in the end of our session. I am very glad you all were actively participate in the class. At last, let we all sincerely thank to Barb Oakley and Teddy Sesnowski for giving information about how human brain works and why humans are so intelligent, since they know powerful mental tools like learning how to learn. Thank you. Thank you for your time. So we must also learn from humans this wonderful learning technique.